Fyodor, son of Ivan the Terrible, died childless. He was of the Rurik dynasty, rulers of Russia for more than 700 years. His younger brother, Dmitri, had died 7 years earlier in suspicious circumstances. The National Assembly elected Boris Godunov as the next Tsar, but a rival soon emerged, an imposter claiming to be the last Tsar's dead younger brother. This so-called false Dmitri seized the throne and married the Polish noblewoman Marina Mishek. Within a year, the false Dmitri was slain in a palace coup, and Marina fled Moscow. In exile, she recognized a second false Dmitri as her husband, and bore him a son, Ivan. Russia was leaderless, and Sweden and Poland took advantage of her weakness, attacking on two fronts. Russia lost Karelia, Novgorod, and Smolensk. Amid the anarchy and devastation, only 10% of Russian lands were still being farmed. Famine and fear stalked the land. Without a strong, legitimate ruler, it seemed the Russian state would soon cease to exist. Towards the end of the brutal winter of 1613, delegates of the country's National Assembly traveled to Moscow, where they would decide the fate of the motherland. The Zemsky Sobor, or National Assembly, was Russia's parliament of the 16th and 17th centuries, brought together to advise on the most important political issues. In 1613, the Assembly had about 1,000 delegates, drawn from the nobility, clergy, merchants, and free townsmen. The decisive vote was held on March 3rd. After lengthy debate, the 16-year-old Michael Romanoff was elected Tsar. Michael's father was Fyodor Nikitich Romanoff, cousin of Tsar Fyodor, the son of Ivan the Terrible. This gave him a strong claim to the throne. When Boris Godunov took the throne, he saw Michael's father as a potential threat and forced him to become a monk under the name of Filaret. Michael's mother Xenia became a nun, taking the name Martha. Filaret rose to the rank of bishop, was imprisoned by the Poles while on a diplomatic mission. His Polish captors didn't bother to inform him that his son had been made Tsar of Russia. The people of Moscow, meanwhile, were informed of the National Assembly's decision through public announcements in Red Square. Michael Fyodorovich Romanov, it was declared, was the new sovereign of the Grand Duchy of Muscovy and Tsar of all the Russias. Michael had grown up amid the 15-year anarchy known as the Time of Troubles. When he was just 4, he was taken from his parents and sent to the country. Later, his mother came to take Michael back, and together they went to live a quiet life in the Apatiev Monastery, 100 miles northeast of Moscow. Hoarse and exhausted ambassadors, bearing the holy icon of Our Lady of St. Fyodor, spent hours persuading the Romanovs to accept power. Finally, they consented. After many years,
destiny depends where you're born, who you're born.
The city of Punta Gorda in Central Florida was once listed by Money Magazine as the second best place in America to live. An easy-going paradise, known for long, laid-back summer days. But it's not without its nightlife.
What are you doing over there? Just fine, really, I think. Having another beer?
Surrounding the city is a vast wilderness of tall trees and thick vegetation. The perfect spot for subtropical predators. Predators who would want to keep their activities very secret.
If you were out there, nobody would ever hear you scream.
In January 1994, two hunters head deep into these woods, known as prime hunting ground for wild hogs. But it may be that hogs aren't the only thing being hunted out here.
There's definitely foul play involved, and something really bad is going on.
An unidentified corpse is found in the Florida wilderness, and it won't be the last.
We had no idea who any of these people were.
The damage to the body suggests extreme foul play. Brutal slayings put cops on the trail of a killer who's one step ahead.
It was exactly like watching a shark circle his prey.
To catch him, they'll use every trick in the book and risk the life of one of their own. A residential development goes belly up, leaving the forests around Punta Gorda, Florida, shot through with paved roads to nowhere. These roads give hunters easy access to terrain known as the hog trails. And today, they lead Rick Hobbs of the Charlotte County Sheriff's Department to a corpse. Joining him is Jim Myers, a state investigator with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement.
The most typical things that we deal with here in Charlotte County are generally thefts and burglaries, arguments, things of that nature. We don't have that much in terms of violent crime.
Authorities fear the status quo has just changed. But in trying to determine if this is a case of murder, they face an extreme uphill battle.
Bodies in the state of Florida, especially that and later time of year, they decompose rapidly because of the moisture, the heat. Out in the wooded area, you've got animals, insects, so it doesn't take very long for a body to decompose down to skeletal remains. That can happen within a matter of weeks.
The lack of any clothing or personal effects on the victim heightened police suspicions.
And there was just nothing there, just the body.
At the Charlotte County morgue, the medical examiner to learn how the victim met his fate.
We logged the remains as a John Doe because we did not know the name. And after documenting all the external evidence, whatever was there in the remains, we performed the autopsy.
There were some indications during the examination of strangulation. They found some possible indications of some ligature marks on the neck and the arms and the legs.
Though exactly what happened is unclear, all signs point to homicide. The next step is to identify the victim, and it won't be easy.
When you have skeletal remains or a body that's found in a remote area with nothing else, you have to go back to
It's bigger.
the very basics. We had to start from scratch.
We know he's a white male. I believe he was around 5'9", if I remember correctly. He was probably in his late 20s, early 30s. Dark hair.
Investigators scour missing persons reports, and it's marked with a serial number. But in the 1990s, no reliable records were kept of such implants. Having hit a dead end, authorities now turn to a forensic skull reconstructionist. Are entered into a computer. The combined anatomy, osteology, and anthropology are then utilized create a composite impression of the victim's facial features.
We got composite back for something to show the public, to try to see if anyone recognized this individual.
The composite is circulated through the media, but no one comes forward. After months of intense efforts, police have a victim they still can't. Detective Tom Schwanier of the Northport Police takes the call.
The skull, as it was found in the yard, was missing the lower jaw portion. The upper teeth were intact, and there was a minute amount of flesh still on the skull.
Wow.
The first thing that comes to a detective's mind is where it come from. Where's the rest of it? So our first step is to find the rest of the body. It was an area of very few houses, and there was a lot of vacant roads there. We divided the area up into blocks. We had law enforcement officers from several agencies, and what we did is we did block by block grid search.
Days pass with no luck.
I found something!
Then, an officer wanders into an unsearched area.
There was bones, spine, rib cage. There was fleshy skin still on the part of the rib cage and on one of the arms. I believe it was a right arm. We weren't really sure what circumstances it had, but we have to treat any of these scenes as the possible worst case scenario. We called in the FDLE forensics teams that conduct their crime scene search. They put stakes up and they go over every square inch with a fine-tooth comb to see what exactly is mixed in with the bones and the remains. And then they search the ground underneath all the remains, possible jewelry, bullets. There's no end to what may be of evidentiary value for one of these scenes. And we did find a lower jaw portion too through our search.
But what Schwanier doesn't find is also crucial to his assessment of the case.
The first thing they made was lack of clothing. We found absolutely no evidence of that scene other than the body and some skin on it. Somebody brought him here, or somebody probably killed him here.
An autopsy is conducted. Though the coroner's report is inconclusive, investigators are convinced of the worst.
We definitely felt it was a homicide. We had no hard evidence to say how this person was killed. But as investigators, we're leaning towards homicide.
Investigators determine the body has been in the woods at least 6 months. But in all that time, no one matching its height or probable age has been reported missing. Now police in 2 counties have anonymous victims. Their cause of death unknown. Nine weeks later, on March 7, 1996, just 3 miles from where the bones of John Doe number 2 were found, a motorist pulls off the highway to relieve himself. And the case takes another turn.
John Doe number 3 was found in a very, very similar area as John Doe number 2. This body was mostly intact. Laying on his back, his arms flailed out to his side, totally naked.
There's no question this man was murdered. And Schwanier gets a shocking new clue when he sees that John Doe number 3 has been horribly mutilated.
It was obvious his genitalia had been removed. Insects take the easiest route of penetration to a body. They'll go into any orifice, mouth, eyes. There's a gunshot wound, a stabbing wound. This is where the insects will infiltrate a body. And this is where they were. They were in the groin area.
Authorities try to fathom what kind of deranged killer they're dealing with.
Obviously, when you have genitals removed, that was an identifier that there's definitely some kind of a sexual deviancy involved.
That's sick,
A
too.
search of the crime scene sheds light on a
How can you
psychopath's
be so
terrifying
fucking
MO.
sick? Hey, you got a fucked up brain, man.
Ligature mark around the tree at throat level.
You gotta have a
Hand
real
level.
bad
There was also
brain.
some about where the ankles and shins would be on the tree.
Shit.
Very obvious when you look at them as to what happened there.
Fuck.
This victim was tied to this tree.
God.
We had 2 naked dead men out in the woods. There's definitely foul play involved. Something really bad is going on.
When Rick Hobbs gets wind of the murders in Northport County, his cold case suddenly warms up.
I grabbed my case file and I went up to Northport and sat down with Tom, and we started comparing our cases. Now we could see the similarities between not only John Doe number 1 and John Doe number 3, but it also brought in John Doe number 2. When we were looking at one another's crime scene photos, if you didn't know which scene you were looking at, you couldn't tell them apart.
Hobbs and Schwinnier revisit the first two crime scenes, only 5 miles apart. In both cases, they find the link they're looking for.
We started seeing the striation marks on the trees, and I said, I suspect we have a problem.
The investigators are forced to confront the obvious. They're dealing with a serial killer. When the story breaks in the media, the entire region is gripped in fear.
When we have a death, an unusual death in this area, I mean, it's going to be on the front page.
The community is not used to any crimes like this being committed, and there was a lot of worried and nervous citizens out there.
Pressure mounts on authorities to stop a madman before he kills again. Unable to identify their latest victim, police seek another way to move things forward. They turn to profiler Wayne Porter for help in the case. The brutalized state of the corpses convinces Porter that they're dealing with a particularly vicious criminal, a sexual sadist.
A sexual sadist is an individual that would in fact do harm to the individual while they are still alive, and that harm many times is to the genitalia.
Wayne, if you can give us a read on that, you know. And
the ligature marks on the trees give Porter an idea of a killer's motivation.
Bondage with sexual sadists is a very common characteristic. You will find bondage magazines in their past history. Bondage is one of the facets of the fantasy. It's part of the gasoline that runs the fantasy. One of the commonalities of sexual sadism is these individuals like to document their crimes. They will videotape, they will take photographs.
To stop a monster in their midst, law enforcement agencies from all over the state band together and create a task.
What's this?
As a convoy of trucks was driving in the middle of a blizzard during the harsh Kazakhstan winter of 2017, an apparition from a bygone era caught them completely off guard. Amidst the whiteness of the horizon, a Soviet Mi-8 helicopter, with its massive rotor blades still stirring, was parked in the middle of the highway, obscuring their path. The confused hesitated to go anywhere near the running helicopter, but suddenly a dark silhouette got out of the gunship and approached the convoy, while the otherworldly encounter was documented for the world to see.
What the fuck?
A first in Soviet history. The Mil Mi-8 is a Soviet-era helicopter developed after the proven effectiveness of the Mi-4 and Mi-6. Initially, the military dismissed Mikhail Mil's proposal for a new helicopter because they were more than content with the existing rotary aircraft. In response, Mil proposed an upgrade to new turbine engines rather than an entirely different helicopter. The Council of Ministers agreed, and production soon started. The clever Mil argued the engine's position required a significant redesign of its front half, and the new airframe was then developed around a single AI-24 Soloviev turboshaft engine. Interestingly, it was the chairman of the Council of Ministers, Nikita Khrushchev, who paved the way for the eventual two-engine version. During an official visit to the United States in 1959, Khrushchev took a flight in the presidential S-58 helicopter and was highly impressed. Upon his return to the Soviet Union, he ordered a similar helicopter that had to be ready by the time the American president visited them. A luxury version of the Mi-4 was thus developed, but its creator knew better. During Khrushchev's inspection flight, Miel proposed that the new helicopter he was developing would be more suitable, adding that it would only require a second engine for reliability. Empowered by Khrushchev's support, Miel was finally able to build his original two-engine helicopter. And for the first time in Soviet history, purpose-built turbine engines were devised for the prototype, rather than adapting models from fixed-wing aircraft, with an entirely new main-rotor gearbox designed in-house. In 1960, Miel was asked to create the twin-engine helicopter, while Sergei Izatov's design bureau would create the engines. The V-8 prototype's design had started back in 1958 and was based on the Mi-4, but with a larger cabin. It first flew in mid-1961, and shortly after, it participated in the Soviet Aviation Day Parade. But it wasn't until the third twin-engine prototype took its first flight in 1962 that a new era in Soviet air design began, with its purpose-built turbines. The aircraft completed its factory-based testing with two final prototypes in early 1953. These were a VIP transport and a mass production vehicle for the passenger market. Then, the following year, all joint testing was completed, and the helicopter entered mass production, with its first production example delivered in late 1965. Despite its proven performance, the Soviet military didn't show much interest in the model until the American Bell UH-1 was widely publicized during the Vietnam War. Only then did the Soviets rush a troop-carrying variant that joined the Soviet Air Force in 1967. From then on, many variants branched from the original, including the Mi-17 export version that is operated by dozens of countries, including Kazakhstan. Lost and found. Deep into the February-winter of 2017, a snowstorm covered the state of northern Kazakhstan when an uncanny object suddenly blocked the Aktobe-Shymkent highway. A Mil Mi-8 helicopter had landed in the middle of the road near the village of Karabutak, cutting off both lanes. The imposing machine halted a convoy of cargo trucks while parked there, with its rotors still twirling slowly and stirring snow all around. One of the drivers caught the incident on camera, and the footage eventually went viral. In the video, the black profile of the helicopter can be seen against the white background, as a voice is heard complaining, quote, "What the fuck is he doing? He's just sitting there in the middle of the road." Moments of silence follow as the truck drivers hesitate to come closer to the 21-meter blades. Before long, a campy figure disembarks from the gunship, dressed in black from head to toe. The man then jogs gracelessly towards the trucks and shakes hands with the first driver. He then engages in an unheard conversation while gesticulating frantically and pointing in several directions. The driver then points in the helicopter's direction, and the pilot then makes his way back. Still, while walking towards the Mi-8, he turns around to give the driver a thumbs up, and then he can be seen holding down his fur hat amidst the strong winds. As the pilot reaches the helicopter, a voice from the convoy radio can be heard laughing and saying, quote, "They were lost. He came to ask which way to October."
Holy shit.
Next, the Mi-8 revs its engines and starts its way up, whipping up stacks of snow as it resumes its mission as if nothing had happened. The video of the surreal encounter quickly spread online, to the point that the Kazakhstan Ministry of Defense was flooded with questions. The authorities then released a statement saying that the helicopter was loaded with full rocket pods and was carrying out a, quote, "planned visual orienteering exercise." The statement also affirmed that the helicopter returned to the airfield where it was based without further drawbacks. Reportedly, the exercise was a success. During drills, trainee pilots are told to figure out their location on their own by using the resources at hand, just as they would in case their equipment fails. However, they are allowed to get help, quote, "by means of human survey."
Oh, shit. Oh, that's cool.
New Horizons.
Oh, wow. That's cool. fucking, he lands and waited. Yeah, he did.
To determine the body has been a composite impression of the victim's facial features. So exactly what happened there? These roads.
Was found in a remote area with
What is this? What time is it? Today is Thursday. Tomorrow will be Friday. Okay, that's the last video. I seen that. Oh, I just saw that one. New York. Oh, I didn't see this one.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Crime Circus. My name is Drip Drop, and I'll be your host as always. Tonight's featured presentation is Death of a Drag Queen, Justin D. Maria, in Gloversville, New York, aka Pacifica Rim. That was Justin's stage name, Pacifica Rim. And he liked to put makeup on his face and put on a show. So I guess it's only right that this story is featured here at Crime Circus because I put makeup on my face and I put on a show. Small world. I guess it was meant to be. There was no news stories and no other true crime YouTube channels that covered this case. So I knew it was my calling to cover this case because I know you like cases you've never heard. New York, at age 28 years old, and his mother contacted me about this case. She wanted justice for her son. We're going to see multiple people interviewed in this case, starting with, and Zach gave Justin heroin. And then Justin died that night. Justin was left for dead, aka Pacifica Rim. And with friends like this, who needs enemies? So first we're going to hear what Mark has to say for himself. The next video will be Zach. And then we're going to get to hear from Pacifica Rim's. January 16th. Mark, spell your last name as you
Common Mark?
Yeah,
M-I-R-K?
K.
And what's your last name?
K-I-L-B-U-R-N,
Okay. How old are you?
19,
What's your date of birth?
7/13/99.
Okay. Where do you live right now?
2 Van Ups Road in Fultonville.
So you're back over there now?
Yes.
When did you move back over there?
Like a few days ago.
Okay. Are you still with,
Zach?
Zach?
No, no.
Okay, just turn this down. All right, let me do this for you. First of all, let me get some preliminary information, trying to shut this down. So
Okay.
let me get some preliminary information from you, and then because it's an interview, that's off. Okay. Preliminarily, where did you grow up?
Well, I started off in Broad Alvin and then Johnstown.
Did you graduate? Where did you graduate high school?
I didn't graduate.
Okay. When did you drop out?
My 11th grade year, so it would be 2016, I believe. 2017.
How big was your family? Who was in your family? Who'd you live with like?
My dad, mostly my whole life.
What's your dad's name?
Mark Kilburn.
Okay.
I'm not junior, he's not senior.
Okay. Did you have brothers and sisters in the house?
Yeah, I have a little sister
Okay.
and then 2 younger brothers, but I never really lived with them.
Okay. Are you practice religion or no? You go to church or any of that stuff? You're not an atheist or
No.
anything like that? Why'd you drop out of school?
Kept moving around from school to school for a little while. My dad was all over the place, and then I moved on to my dad when I was 16, and then I just never
Just
went to
live with
school.
different people?
Yeah, I bounced around all over. I'm sure if you pull me up with social services, they'll show you the record.
Okay. Let's do this.
Okay.
You're free to go, and this is an interview.
Yeah.
Even so, I wanna give you your rights.
Okay.
And have you understand those, because I wanna be sure that we follow
Yeah.
procedures, okay?
Okay.
So, let me show you. Do you read and write English?
Yeah.
Okay. And you dropped out of 11th grade, and now you smell like cigarettes to me?
Yeah, me and Lauren smoked a cigarette before I came in
Are
here.
you a drinker or any of that?
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so, I'm gonna read it to you, and then I'm gonna have you read it and initial it, all right? You have the right to remain silent, refuse to answer any questions. Do you understand that? Okay, just initial that now.
Right next to that?
Yeah, just give it a read also.
Yeah, read it out loud, then I know I can read
You
it.
have the right to remain silent and refuse to answer any questions.
Any questions about that?
Okay.
Okay. No, any questions about that? No.
No.
Anything you do say can and will be used against you in the court of law. Do you understand that?
Yes.
I read that to yourself, and so, I read it out loud. So.
Anything you do anything you do say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
And the reason we do that is to show that you understand what's going on,
Yeah.
so nobody can claim later, okay? Third one, as we discuss this matter, you have a right to stop answering my questions at any time that you desire. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay.
Do I have to read that one out loud?
You don't, but do you understand it?
Yes, I understand.
Just read them to yourself.
Okay.
After he explains it to you.
You have a right to a lawyer before speaking to me, to remain silent until you can talk to a lawyer, to have a lawyer present when you are being questioned. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
Read it over though, because I want to be sure you know that I didn't change the words on you. Okay, next one.
If you desire
You read it out loud.
If you desire a lawyer but you cannot afford one will be provided to you before questioning without cost to
Do you understand that? Free lawyers.
Yeah, I watch a lot of SVU.
Read the next one. Mark.
Do you understand each of these rights I have explained to you? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now what I need you to do is.
Before you do that, now that I've advised you of your rights, are you willing to answer our questions?
Yes.
Okay, freely and voluntarily.
Yes.
Have any promises been made to you by by the investigator or myself?
Okay.
Have any promises been made to you?
No.
Okay, all right, so you can initial that. And give me your,
He's got to sign his name and do his address and city there.
yeah, your name and address. And then later on, next to your name, put your date of birth also. You understand that you're not in custody, you're not handcuffed.
No.
But I still want you to do this, okay?
Yeah.
And you do understand that we are questioning you, and the reason, when you're done doing that, we'll talk. Put your address back down.
My address.
Did you get everything?
No, that's where we sign.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brian, you want to sign anyway, that last one?
Oh, sorry.
Mark, Lori DeMaria, Justin's mom, who passed away, told us that you had some stuff you want to tell us, but I don't want to just jump in to that night. I want to start with, how long have you known Zach and what's his last name?
Zach McCabe.
How long have you known Zach?
I've known him for probably 6 years.
How long, are you guys boyfriends or no?
We were from last January till April or May of last year, and then again from August to just like this past week.
Okay, and you guys have broken up at different times and gotten back together?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the nature of the relationship? Is there any physical violence or domestic violence? Anything?
He has gotten violent a few times. Not anything like too insanely crazy. Like,
okay.
I know other people have gotten it worse from him than I did, but he has a temper, a very bad temper.
Okay. And how do you know Justin? Or do you know Justin as Justin, or did you know Justin as Pacifica Rim?
Both kind of, I guess, because Zach was like best friends with Pacifica.
Okay.
So obviously I was always around too. So I always was with them whenever they went anywhere and all this other stuff.
How long have you known Justin?
2 or 3 years.
Okay. And did you guys, all right, tell me, where would you guys go to the clubs, or would you go to his house?
I went to like the waterworks shows a few times.
And Justin would perform there under Pacifica, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that when you would go there to see him?
Yeah, like we would give him rides there.
Okay.
That's mostly why we went, to give him rides back and forth to his shows.
Okay. Where did you and Zach live last year?
Steel Ave Extension.
And was it just the two of you there?
No, his grandmother and his grandma's boyfriend.
Who's that?
Paul Tondro.
And who's the grandma?
Oh, Inza.
Okay. And then, did Justin ever come to that house with you guys and party or hang out?
No.
Okay. Did you ever go to his grandmother's house?
Yeah, we had went there a few times before.
Did you ever party there?
No, we couldn't do anything there with Pat there.
Okay. So, what do you do for work here? What have you done the last couple of years?
I was actually at the TA in Fultonville, serving in the restaurant.
Okay, and you're not working currently?
No.
How come?
Well, it's funny because the last time I got back with Zach, he made me quit my job.
Okay.
So he wants to have control of everything.
Okay.
He has to be in control. And then it just didn't work out. I couldn't.
Now, what does he do for work?
He's a CNA.
Okay. Do you know what other schooling he's had besides the CNA?
High school, I think that's it.
Okay. And he works at, where does he work, you tell me?
River Ridge Living Center.
Since like the last year you were out, or how long?
Probably like 9 months now, I think he's been there.
Where did he work before?
I think before that he was at Palatine Nursing Home.
Okay. And do you know does he ever discuss training with you? Like, does he know CPR?
Oh, he knows all of that stuff.
Okay.
He knows all the things that you got to do for certain care plans and all that stuff. He explained it all to me before.
Has he ever talked to you about doing that he's done CPR on anyone to save him or anything like that?
No.
Has he ever talked to you about Narcan? You know what I mean by Narcan?
Yeah, we've talked about it, but I've never seen one. Seen him with one at all.
All right. Have you ever seen anybody overdose on heroin or other drugs?
No.
Okay. When you guys would, okay, so let's just limit it to 2018.
Yeah.
So when you guys would get together with Justin, driving back and forth, when you were at the bar, did you guys drink?
Him and Justin would.
Okay, you're not a drinker?
I can't, I'm 19.
just checking, you got me. So they would drink, and then, in 2018, were you ever with them when they smoked marijuana? Did they ever smoke marijuana, you know?
I think last winter, Pacifica might have taken, oh yeah, she did try to smoke weed and she burnt her thumbnail off, but that was the only time that I've ever seen her do that.
When you guys were together, what did you mostly do as far as, did they drink, both of them?
We would, yeah, they'd have me drive around and they'd drink.
Okay. What would they drink?
Wine, usually.
Okay. And when you say drive around, tell us, do you mean like drive from location to location? Or
I would just drive aimlessly and they would drink and talk and play music and all that other stuff.
Okay. And it wasn't just the nights you went to the shows?
No, it was just sometimes Justin would call and say, what are you guys doing? Do you guys want to hang out? And we'd be like, yeah, we'll come get you.
Okay. Now, I understand from, Justin's mom
Yeah.
that, you wanted to come forward and clear your mind because it's
It's been terrible.
Before we talk about the night, it's just, were you told to be quiet by,
Yeah.
tell us those conversations.
So-
When did they start?
The day that Zach called me, I was in his bed and he called me in, because what happened was, we dropped Pacifica off the night that we were hanging out and stuff.
Okay, start, wait. First of all, that night, which was a Monday night into Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Okay, who set up picking them up?
Okay, he messaged Zach, and he's at like, I think it was like 5 something, and then
Okay.
he said, do you guys want to hang out or whatever. I don't know the real conversation, but that's like what it was.
Okay.
And then we said, yeah, and we got there at like 6 o'clock, 6:30. It was that night.
Where'd you get there?
No, that was Monday night?
Yeah,
So when you say got there, where did you get there?
to the lake house.
To Pat's?
Yeah, to Pat.
Okay, his grandma.
Yeah.
Okay, did you guys go in or did you?
No, we just pulled up and he came out and got in the car. He had, me bring him to the liquor store in Broad Alvin, and he got a bottle of Mr. Boston and a box of the wine.
Okay.
Oh,
Who's he?
Justin.
Okay, so you got a bottle of Mr. Boston,
Yeah.
and you got,
So that Mr. Boston is vodka, correct?
Yeah,
And was that the bottle that was?
I think that's the bottle that they found there.
Okay. And which liquor store did you go to again?
Broad Alvin, I believe. The one that's like right by, the Dunkin' Donuts and
Yep.
everything right
What
now.
time do you
Okay,
think,
Salesman's.
what time do you think you went there?
That was probably like right around 7 o'clock.
Brian, what was our date on the Monday, do you remember? It was the 6th that they found him, right?
I think it was the 4th, the night of the 4th.
That's fourth, yes.
Why don't we look, I want to be sure we don't get this date wrong. What month was it, you guys remember?
It was September.
Okay, so, because it was Thursday morning that he was found.
It was Thursday morning?
Was it? Or, yep.
So it must have been Tuesday night.
Yeah,
That Zach's night's off,
Okay.
Tuesday, so that was a Tuesday night.
So when you picked him up, it was Tuesday night, not Monday?
Yeah, it was not Monday night, I'm sorry, I didn't even.
That's what I thought, Tuesday night.
Okay, so Tuesday night, you guys pick him up around 5 or 5:30 or 6, you go to the
Liquor store.
It's a box of wine, do you remember what kind of wine?
Franzia.
Okay, so Brian, that would have been Tuesday the 4th of September.
Yeah.
And then where did you go? Did you go to Stewart's at one point?
Yes,
Which Stewart's?
Johnstone on Main Street.
Okay, on Main Street,
Yes.
not on 38.
No.
Okay, not on
Okay,
Fulton
'cause
Street.
that's what his cousin or whatever said worked at the Fulton Street store. Okay.
It wasn't Fulton Street. You're
No.
pretty sure that night it was?
Oh, it was right across the street from O'Connor's. I pulled right in front of O'Connor's, I pulled in right there on the side.
The city has the cameras. What time do you think you got there? Is that-
Gee, that was later at night, I don't remember what time, but it was dark and it was late.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
later,
So how many hours do you think you drove around?
like 6 probably.
Did you stop anywhere?
Stewart, and then when we left Stewart, Justin came out and he was like all distraught, acting like something pissed him off. Like he was mad and he was posting on Facebook all crazy, like really pissed off. So then, do you want me to tell the whole?
Yeah, tell
Well,
us.
I just have a question first.
Okay.
Did Justin go into the store alone or did
Yes.
somebody else?
He went into the store alone. He said it was to pee.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think he
He didn't
bought
come out with any
anything.
groceries?
No,
No cigarettes?
I didn't think he bought anything in there.
So tell us, what did he say when he came out?
He was mad at John Millington for a phone conversation or something.
Do you know John Millington?
Yeah.
How do you know John?
Through Pacifica.
How often do you see or talk to John?
Barely ever.
When's the last time you talked to John?
I don't remember.
When do you see him?
Never.
Okay.
I know he works at Sam's Steakhouse, I think, or something.
Have you talked to him in the last several days?
No.
Okay, not at all.
No.
Okay. So, when do you think the last time you physically saw John or hung out with him?
The viewing?
Okay. And do you text him or does he text you?
No. I mean, we have each other on Snapchat, but we never chat or talk on there.
Okay. All right. So go back to Stewart. So Justin came out. Why did you know he was pissed?
Because he was crying.
Okay.
And like, well, not crying, but like, kind of, and he was like talking very, like, he was pissed off.
And you've seen him upset before like
Oh,
that?
yeah.
How often did he get upset?
Whenever he drank, really, he would end up getting upset at some point. Just, like, well, he would get, like, confused when he was drunk, and then it would be, like, confused until, like, I don't even know, he would just get all, like, emotional, really.
Okay. Did you say why he was pissed off to you?
Because John ended a phone conversation, mid-conversation, he hung up on him.
And what's his relationship with John?
They were, like, friends, they did shows together, I guess. He, like, casted her and had John in a show, the Aladdin show or something, and they were doing that and taking pictures for that.
What does John do for work at Sam's, or what did he do? Does he still work at Sam's?
I'm not sure, actually. I think he was a bartender.
Okay, and then go back, so you're at Stewart's, and he's upset and he starts posting. Where do you guys go from Stewart's?
I started driving, I went down to the arterial, Comrie, and I started heading down towards Walmart because I was gonna bring Justin home.
Okay.
Okay? And then there was this guy in Amsterdam, I think he's in prison now.
Do you remember his name?
The guy in Amsterdam?
Yeah, or nickname, name or nickname?
Unique.
Okay.
And then on Facebook, I think I saw it as Curtis.
So after you left Stewart's, you drove around, you were gonna take him home, but...
I was gonna take him home because he was drinking and all this.
Who wanted to go to Amsterdam?
Justin did.
Justin wanted to.
Yes.
Now, I gotta make excuse me on that.
Okay.
And why did Justin wanna go to Amsterdam?
Because Zach could get heroin in Amsterdam. And Justin used to always say, even that day he was saying, I never want to do that, I'll never touch that, and all this other stuff. And then after that thing with John Millington, I don't know what possessed him to want to do that, and I said, that's not a good idea.
Wait, step back. So did he ever do heroin in your presence? Justin?
Yes, that night.
Okay, before that, did he ever do heroin?
No,
Did he ever do cocaine in your presence?
yeah.
Okay, how often would he do cocaine?
When once in a blue moon at the bar, he would get it.
Okay, but he didn't go with Zach and you to go get it in cocaine?
No,
Okay, so you go down to Amsterdam. Remember what street you went to in Amsterdam?
Bun Street,
What's the name of it?
Bun Street.
Okay, the guy's nickname was Unique or Curtis something, right?
Yeah,
Okay, do you remember the color of the house? Or?
yellow.
Okay, was it two-story or?
Yeah.
Okay, was it an apartment that you think,
It was the upstairs apartment.
how do you know?
Because Zach used to go there a lot.
And you would wait in the car for him?
I would wait around the corner.
That's how you knew?
Yeah,
Okay,
What
so
color house was it?
yellow.
Okay, yellow
I think
two-story.
that house got raided.
Okay. How long do you think that Unique or Curtis has been in jail?
A few months now, I think. I saw it on the Fulton, or the Montgomery County page, his face came up. And Zach said, that's Unique, and I said, that's him. Because I had never seen the guy before.
No, was Unique, white guy?
He's a black guy.
Okay. So, have you seen him? Have you gone to the apartment with Zach?
No, I never went in there. Zach would never let me go in there.
So how do you know what he looked like?
I didn't. Zach told me that was him.
Okay. The other thing is, did you do cocaine when they would do cocaine?
No.
Did Zach do cocaine also with?
Yeah,
Okay. How does Taylor to Burke Street?
yeah, in Gloversville.
Okay.
Some other woman that's there now.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to clear one thing up. Back when you were talking about, John Millington.
Yeah.
You hadn't seen him since the funeral, is that correct?
No, I haven't.
Have you spoken to him since the funeral?
Maybe a hi once or something, or a how or nothing crazy.
Are you a drinker yourself? Oh, look, I know you're underage, I don't care about that. But are you a drinker?
Not really.
Okay. What did you, when did you and Zach recently break up? What motivated you to contact Lauren to talk to us?
Well, because for the longest time, like when I would drink, I was freaking out about the whole thing. And I would tell Zach, I'd be like, I feel so terrible, I haven't said anything about it. And he'd be like, oh, it's okay, it's not your fault, it's okay, it's not your fault. I was like, no, it's not, but still, you should say something, like, And then he was like, don't say anything to anybody, you'll go to prison. I was like, what do you mean I'll go to prison? I was like, I'm saying these things, I'm telling, like, because I told what happened.
Well, now we got the drugs down in, we
Yeah.
got the drugs down in Amsterdam, so I'll take you back, so
Okay.
I won't sequence.
Sorry.
You get the drugs down in Amsterdam, Zach goes in alone, Justin
Yeah.
stays in the car.
Yeah,
Justin in the back seat?
yep.
Okay, where do you go from there? Zach gets back, what does Zach say when he gets back? Do you remember what he
He
said?
just got in the car and he said drive, and then I was driving.
Where did you get the money to buy the,
Justin gave him the money.
okay, how much do you remember that being?
I think it was like $10 or something to get it there.
Okay, so then what happened, then you tell us what happened.
Then we went and we parked, and then Zach gave it to both of us.
Where did you park?
Some street in Amsterdam.
Oh, did you stay in Amsterdam?
Well, we did that, and then I drove back out
Okay,
here.
how much, did Zach do something too?
Yeah.
Okay, how much was in there? Tell us how much heroin was like, if
It was like lines this long.
3 lines,
Yeah,
where did you put them on?
a CD case.
So you say lines, like 1-inch lines you were showing us?
Yeah, like little, one at a time.
And then, what did you tell us?
He would do the thing with a little straw, and he said, here you